The Second Amendment of the United States Constitution is the part of the United States Bill of Rights that protects the right of the people to keep and bear arms. One of the largest battles against the Second Amendment is gun control. Many people believe that the general public should not be allowed to have firearms. Others have their own opinions. We got a chance to interview Don Davis, who is a local celebrity and was at one time the largest independent gun dealer in the nation. We asked him his opinions on gun control and the Second Amendment.
Don, do you know your gun prices are the lowest in Indianapolis?
Honey, we don't know it, but if you can hum it, we can strum it. And remember, folks, Don's Guns pick a winner because I don't want to make any money. I just love to sell guns. Everybody should own a gun, like the Second Amendment says. Everybody should not carry a gun, and I've been an advocate of that for 40 years. And we've got the law so mixed up on guns that today you can send in your money and get a permit for the rest of your life to carry a gun at 18 years old, but you can't buy one till you're 21. It makes no sense. So you have to take a test to drive a car and get a driver's license. To get a gun, to carry a gun, just send them some money. It's political and it's wrong. There is no gun control. You know, the NRA and people like that, they're only here because they're good marketers. You'll never be able to take the guns away from the American public. You couldn't get it done if you wanted. In 40 years that I've been doing this, there has never ever been a law even suggested to take guns away from the American public.
After talking to Don about how easy it is to get a gun permit, I decided to look into it for myself and see if it truly was this easy. Surely enough, he was right. The only requirement was that you had to pay a $125 fee. Now, a gun dealer will require you to have one of these permits, but at a gun show, well, that's a different story. I asked Don how individuals got around selling guns at the gun show without proper permits. He told me all they had to say was,
I'm selling from my collection. Now you walk up, you just got out of jail for murder, and you say, how much for that gun? Well, I want $500. Here you are. Yeah. He doesn't ask you who you are. He doesn't check you like Don's does to see if you're a criminal. The FBI has nothing to do with it. Out the door he goes. There's your problem with the gun industry.
I went to multiple gun shows in multiple states. I've bought guns without showing my ID. I've been with other people who've bought guns without showing any ID, without going through any background checks, who just paid their money and walked out. This is the exact problem that we're talking about. How you doing, sir? Just wonder if we can see your Mahdi Jepsen. I'm looking at that thing. You want $660 for it?
Yeah, out the door. Have to be over 18, Ohio resident, with no tax and no picture. Oh, I need to see your driver's license. Do you have one in the car? Are you an Ohio resident? Sure, what's your address? What's your birthday? Oh, okay. Okay.
if he could buy a gun without showing ID, doesn't that mean anyone can? Well, how do we stop that? Some would suggest gun control, but does that work?
Columbine would not have been prevented by more gun control. The fact of the matter is, nobody likes to talk about, is all the gun control laws already on the books that these kids broke, and the person who sold them firearms broke. None of them prevented Columbine.
Even some celebrities have their views on gun control.
You don't need no gun control. You know what you need? We need some bullet control. We need to control the bullets. That's right. I think all bullets should cost $5,000. $5,000 for a bullet. You know why? Because if a bullet costs $5,000, there'll be no more innocent bystanders. Be it. Be it. Every time somebody gets shot, you'll be like, damn, he must have did something.
On a more serious note, guns can save lives. And that's what this news story is about.
I wouldn't have done it, but it was my son. I had to protect him.
This young mother takes maternal instinct to a whole new level.
I walked over and got the 12 gauge, went in the bedroom and got the pistol and put the bottle in his mouth, and then I called 911.
18-year-old Sarah McKinley killed a man, she says, to protect her 3-month-old baby.
I'm here by myself with my infant baby. Can I please get a dispatcher out here immediately?
Late on New Year's Eve, police say 2 men, one armed with a 12-inch hunting knife, were trying to break into her home outside Oklahoma City. McKinley recognized one of them as someone she thought was stalking her.
He was from door to door trying to bust in. They said I couldn't shoot him until he come in the door.
Are your doors locked? Yes, I've got 2 guns in my hand. Is it okay to shoot him if he comes in the store?
I can't tell you that you can do that, but you do what you have to do to protect your baby.
The teen mother killed the 24-year-old intruder the second he stepped inside. Police call the shooting justified.
After seeing this news piece, we decided to sit down with one of the local police officers and ask him his opinion on gun control.
In effect, what gun control is are laws. By the very definition of what a criminal is somebody who breaks laws. So if the effort of people who lobby for gun control or people who believe in gun control, if their belief is that having stricter gun control laws would prevent criminals from having guns, it's backwards, because just by the very nature of what criminals do, they break laws. Very, very rarely do people who have gun permits, do they commit actual crimes with their guns. Most often criminals get their guns through theft. They'll break into a house. If you don't keep your guns locked up in a good gun safe, they'll steal your guns, and that's how most criminals get them. Occasionally they'll get them from family members. The criminal son will steal grandpa's shotgun and go out and commit a crime with it. But most likely they get it through theft or burglary. Right now I think there are over 20,000 gun control laws between various states and federal government and local municipalities. I think the amount of laws we have now are sufficient. There is no limit on the number of guns you should be able to have. If you want to have 1 or 10 or 2,000, certainly a personal choice. And when the framers wrote the Constitution, they wanted to have a small government, so it's not in the right of the government now to say, well, you can only buy 1 gun a month, or you can only own 10 guns total. If somebody wants to pay those taxes to have those stamps to own those machine guns, then more power to them.
The biggest argument on gun control is that it is unconstitutional to take away the individual right to own and bear arms. Who better to address this issue than President Barack Obama?
As a general principle, I believe that the Constitution confers an individual right to bear arms. But just because you have an individual right does not mean that the state or local government can't constrain the exercise of that right.
We got a chance to sit down with Zach from the National Association for Gun Rights and asked him a couple questions about current policies and how he thought gun control should be handled.
I'm Zach Lautenschlager with the National Association for Gun Rights, Director of Communications and Public Relations there. Gun rights are based on a constitutional right. They are a God-given right. And the right to keep bear arms flows from the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So ultimately, gun rights keep people safe by enabling them to defend themselves. How many criminals do you think go get a permit before they decide, I'm going to go rob the convenience store, but I'm going to do it with a legal gun? No, they obtain illegal firearms. It's very simple to do. Even in nations where gun ownership is very heavily restricted, bad guys still have guns. There is not a way to keep them from getting guns. I believe the Second Amendment should go as far as it's written. It says the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. You can go back and look at what did they mean when they said arms. They were referring to the modern military weapon of its day, which was the smooth-bore musket. It was the rapid-fire weapon of its day. It was take a bayonet and was the military weapon. It was the equivalent to our M16. So I don't think there's any way to debate whether or not the Second Amendment covers an M16. It does. That's the reality. We may not like that today. People may want to redefine it, but the reality is that's how far it goes. Guns don't just shoot people. They are inanimate objects any more than cars drive over people. It requires an operator.
Whoa, careful there, Annie Oakley.
I don't have to be careful. I got a gun.
Well, you'll probably want the accessory kit, holster.
Oh, yeah.
Bandolier.
Baby.
Silencer. Loudener. Speed cocker.
Ooh, I like the sound of that.
And this is for shooting down police helicopters.
Oh, I don't need anything like that. Yet.
Not only is it in the TV you're watching late at night, it's also in the video games your children play.
UAV recon ready for deployment.
Do television and video games actually inspire people to do this?
The game was Halo 3, a violent video game that Daniel Petrick played up to 18 hours a day. When his parents said enough and barred him from playing, his attorneys say he snapped.
He starts searching the house and looks for the video game, just like an addict would look for the drugs.
Instead, Daniel Petrick found a gun, calmly walked into a room where his parents were watching TV, asked them to close their eyes because he had a surprise for them, then shot them, killing his mother Susan.
You could argue that gun control would have stopped this situation from happening. But is it gun control that's needed? Maybe it's just better gun regulation. Maybe if there was a requirement that wasn't just a $125 fee for you to get a license to own a gun. These are problems that we must face. But at the end of the day, it's a relief to know we still have people who are passionate about gun safety, public safety, and the right to stay armed. The only question is, which side are you on?